A new study by Forum AI says, quote, AI companies are grading their own homework. The report reveals a staggering 90% failure rate on election questions across 4 major chatbots, and they are routinely serving up Russian and Chinese state media as authoritative sources. Joining us now is the CEO of Forum AI, Campbell Brown, who believes AI companies have to be different. The headline, Campbell, is that chatbots struggle with news accuracy, if we're going to make it as simple as we can. But I think the best place to start is with the methodology, what you went and tested and how you tested it.
Sure, Ed. We looked at essentially 3 dimensions, which is factual accuracy, bias generally, and then the quality of the sources that they used. And the way we did it was training judgment models with senior domain experts who architected benchmarks. This is an area, I think it's worth pointing out, that hasn't gotten a lot of measurement. Most of the measurement and benchmarks that you see around the models is focused on coding and math and model capability, which makes sense. I mean, this is where the model companies are making their money. But they're also marketing the chatbots as consumer products. People are using them for all kinds of questions, and certainly in an election year, political information is going to be really important, and they're not right now where they need to be.
I want to get to the midterms. Just very quickly, the eval process is called Newsbench, right?
Yep.
Do we have the why on why chatbots struggle with news accuracy? What's the cause?
Honestly, I think it hasn't been a priority. As I said, they're leaning into other areas in terms of the measurement. I think that's going to change, not only because consumers are looking for it and going to demand it eventually, but I think enterprise is starting to demand it, and that's again where their focus is from a business perspective, and being just okay on accuracy overall on news and politics and geopolitics is not going to cut it.
Let's talk about the midterms then. The Bloomberg report states the chatbot's answers about elections failed on accuracy, bias, or source selection 90% of the time. What I found interesting reading about that is there must be evidence, therefore, that the electorate, everyday Americans, go to chatbots for news in the first place.
You're seeing those numbers increase. I think more and more. We've seen a couple of studies showing people are using them for news more and more. And we found that about a third of the questions we asked on election-related questions had factual errors in them. But all of the chatbots failed on bias. Claude and Gemini gave left-leaning answers on election-related questions 100% of the time. ChatGPT 95% of the time. Grok was the only right-leaning chatbot that gave right-leaning answers on these questions, I think about 85% of the time. So you were by no means getting a straight-up answer or a balanced perspective, and people are asking, who are my candidates, what are their positions on the issues, and who should I vote for? So improving this between now and then. I mean, the one thing I am positive, hopeful about is there was a broad difference, I think, overall. Gemini handled a lot of the questions better than some of the other models, which shows there's area for improvement, but you can't fix something if you haven't measured it.
Campbell, I know you previously, of course, at Meta, Vice President of News and Global Media Partnerships, but also as an industry colleague, award-winning journalist and anchor, CNN, NBC News. Both sides you see. Do you see action on the news side and the likes of Meta, other frontier labs on actively fixing this, taking action on it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I talk to people in the labs on a regular basis at all of these companies, and they do care about this and are beginning to approach it with a sort of different way of thinking. I think, one of the challenges we had, and you said it in the opening, is today these model companies are essentially grading their own homework. There's not independent evaluation. And I'm not calling for regulation. I have a private company, but I do think we need an ecosystem of companies and nonprofits that are doing independent evaluation. And I think the companies, the model companies that lean into this are going to make ultimately more trustworthy products. And I do think you're going to see the demand move in that direction, again, from enterprise. You're already seeing some states pass laws where they're requiring independent evaluation, but I think it's increasingly going to become more important.